If you are hard stuck in ranked and you keep getting kills but still losing games, there is a good chance your mechanics are not the problem. Your macro is. A lot of Clash laners think their job is simple. Stay in lane, farm, kill the enemy, and join every team fight. But that is not how you carry games. A good Clash laner controls the minion wave, creates pressure, forces enemies to react, and appears at the exact moment their team needs them. And today, I am going to show you how to do exactly that. We are covering freezing, slow pushing, fast pushing, proxying, teleport rotations, split pressure, and the biggest macro mistakes you need to stop making. Master these concepts and you will start winning games without needing to drop 20 kills every match. Let's start with the most important thing in Clash lane, the minion wave. There are 3 basic wave states you need to understand: freeze, slow push, and fast push. Knowing when to use each one is what separates a normal Clash laner from a player who actually understands macro. Let's start with the freeze. A freeze means you keep the enemy wave close to your tower without letting it crash into your tower. You do this by avoiding unnecessary damage to the minions and mainly taking the last hits. Why? Because now the enemy has to walk forward if they want gold and experience, and that creates a problem for them. The further they walk into your side of the lane, the easier they become to punish. Your jungler can gank, you can threaten a trade, and sometimes the enemy simply has to give up the wave. But here is the important part. Do not freeze just because you can. If you freeze while your team is fighting for an important objective, you might be protecting your lane while your entire team loses the map. Freeze when it gives you something: gold, experience, safety, or a gank opportunity. That is the difference between understanding wave management and just copying a tutorial. Now, when should you actually freeze? There are 3 main situations. First, you are weaker than your opponent. Maybe you got counterpicked. Maybe the enemy has a much stronger early game, or maybe you simply lost the first trade. Instead of trying to fight them again, freeze. Keep the wave on your side and farm safely. Second, you want your jungler to gank. A frozen wave creates a much easier gank because the enemy has to walk deeper into your lane. You do not need to chase them across the map. You simply let them come to you. And third, you are trying to deny the enemy resources. If your opponent cannot safely walk up for the wave, they lose gold and experience. That small advantage becomes a bigger advantage over time. But remember, a freeze is not permanent. Eventually, you need to turn that advantage into map pressure, and that brings us to the slow push. The slow push is one of the strongest tools a Clash laner has, and most players completely waste it. The idea is simple. Instead of instantly destroying the entire enemy wave, you allow your own minions to build up wave after wave, until suddenly you have a massive army marching toward the enemy tower. Now imagine what happens next. The enemy team sees that huge wave approaching their tower. Someone has to clear it. If nobody clears it, they lose gold, experience, and tower pressure. So one enemy player usually has to respond, and that is exactly what you want. Because the moment one enemy leaves the main fight, your team has a numbers advantage, 5 versus 4. You did not need to kill anyone. You created that advantage with a minion wave. That is macro. And there is an even better way to use this. Before an important objective becomes the center of the map, try to prepare your side wave. Push it, create pressure, then rotate. Now the enemy has a choice. Fight your team or lose their tower, and either decision benefits you. Now let's talk about the opposite. Sometimes you do not want a slow push. Sometimes you want the wave gone immediately. This is the fast push. You clear the wave as quickly as possible, crash it into the enemy tower, and use the time you created to do something else. This is called tempo, and tempo is everything in Clash lane. You clear your wave, and suddenly the enemy Clash laner has a problem. They have to stay and clear. You can move, you can help your mid laner, you can invade with your jungler, you can contest an objective, you can take a nearby resource, or you can simply reset and return to lane before the next important wave. But there is one rule: never rotate just because you are bored. Before leaving your lane, ask yourself one question. What am I getting from this rotation? If the answer is nothing, stay in lane. Because every second you spend walking around the map is a second you are not farming or creating pressure. Now we need to talk about one of the biggest advantages Clash laners have: teleport. And players waste it constantly. Teleport should not be treated like a free shortcut. It is a map-wide pressure tool. Before using it, look at the map. Where is your team? Where is the enemy team? What objective is about to become important? And most importantly, what happens to the wave if I leave? If your wave is about to crash into your tower, teleporting away can be a disaster. You might arrive at a fight, win the fight, and still lose your tower. Instead, try to push your wave first whenever the situation allows it. Then use teleport to create a numbers advantage. This is where Clash Lane becomes extremely powerful. You are fighting one player in lane, then suddenly you appear beside your team, and the enemy realizes they are fighting 5 players instead of 4. That is how you turn lane pressure into actual wins. Now let's talk about one of the riskiest techniques, proxying. Proxying means clearing the enemy wave before it reaches their tower. It sounds amazing, and it can be. But if you do it without information, you are basically asking the enemy jungler to collect free gold. Before proxying, check the minimap. Where is the enemy jungler? Where is the roamer? Where is mid? If you cannot account for the important enemy players, don't do it, because your extra wave clear is not worth giving the enemy a free kill. But when you have information, proxying can create huge tempo. You clear the wave. The enemy Clash laner is stuck dealing with the next wave, and you have a few precious seconds to move around the map. Use those seconds wisely. Do not proxy just to show off. Proxy to create something: a jungle invade, a mid gank, vision, an objective rotation, or pressure somewhere else. Now let's go through 5 mistakes that can completely destroy your game. Mistake number 1, chasing kills instead of waves. If the enemy has 1 HP but their wave is crashing into your tower, take the wave. The kill is optional. Your farm is guaranteed value. Mistake number 2, rotating without pushing your wave. You see a fight. You instantly run there, but nobody is defending your lane. The enemy clears your tower. You lose gold. You lose pressure. And suddenly, that team fight victory was not worth it. Push first when you safely can, then rotate. Mistake number 3, pushing with 0 vision. You clear the wave, walk past the river, and suddenly enemy jungler, enemy roamer, everyone pops up. You're dead. If you don't know where the enemy is, respect the fog. Mistake number 4, fighting every time your opponent fights. Sometimes the correct play is not to fight. If the enemy has the advantage, farm, freeze. Wait, let them make the mistake. You do not need to prove that your hero is stronger every 30 seconds. Mistake number 5, staying in Clash lane for too long. This is probably the biggest one. You destroy the enemy tower, and then you keep farming the same lane for another 5 minutes. Why? Your job is not to live in Clash lane. Your job is to create pressure across the map. Once the tower falls, start thinking about your next move. Where can you pressure? Which wave needs to be pushed? Which objective is coming? Where does your team need you? That is the real Clash lane mindset. So, if you remember nothing else from this video, remember these 5 rules. Number 1, freeze when you need safety, farm, or a gank. Number 2, slow push when you want to create pressure and force the enemy to respond. Number 3, fast push when you need tempo to move around the map. Number 4, push your wave before making important rotations whenever it is safe to do so. And number 5, never rotate without knowing what you are trying to achieve. Because Clash lane is not about getting the most kills. It is about controlling the map. You control the wave. The enemy has to react. You create pressure, your team gets space, and eventually, the enemy runs out of good decisions. That is how you carry games. So the next time you enter ranked, don't just ask yourself, how do I kill my opponent? Ask yourself, how do I make the enemy react to me? Master your waves, control your tempo, use teleport intelligently, and turn your Clash lane pressure into advantages for the entire team. If this guide helped you understand Clash lane a little better, hit the like button and subscribe for more Honor of Kings guides. And comment below, what is your main Clash lane hero? I'll see you in the next one.